What's up, meta nerds? This complete breakdown of the ARC-170 will pull from every resource available, and by the end you might agree this is one of the best starfighters of all time. If you learned something new, please hit that like button, it really is the best way to help me out. But let's start off with its manufacturer, Incom Corporation. The company was founded in 232 BBY, more than 2 centuries before the Clone Wars, and they also produced the Z95 and heavier PTB-625 and NTB-630, as well as the later T-65 X-Wing. The ARC stands for Aggressive Reconnaissance, and it's really different from most starfighters used during the Clone Wars, with ships like the Alpha 3 Nimbus and the Eta 2 Actis were small, fast, and highly maneuverable, sacrificing heavy weapons, shields, and hyperdrives. The ARC-170 went in the opposite direction. It was big, tough, and designed for long-range missions without needing backup. Just to understand the capability to deploy these, with its hyperdrive it could technically go out whenever it wanted to anywhere in the galaxy without capital ship support or transport, just leaving from some Republic planet or space station, but Venators normally had 36 on board, though this was alongside 192 Eta 2 Actis interceptors and 192 V-Wings, so if the Venators wanted to go lighter on those other craft, there was tons of room to unleash likely hundreds of these multi-purpose fighter bombers. Incom sold these to the Republic for 180,000 credits, just 30k more than the later X-Wing, and we'll see why that's such a great deal. Designed as a multi-purpose starship, it had a length of 12.71 meters, or 41 feet 8 inches, which is just a baby Jawa longer than the X-Wing. But the width is absurd at 19.85 meters or 65 feet 2 inches, which is nearly twice as wide as an X-Wing. And again, the height is pretty similar at 3.81 meters, 12 feet 6 inches, less than a meter difference between the X-Wing. It was designed for both heavy combat and long-range deep space missions, having a Class 1.5 hyperdrive, slower than an X-Wing but still faster than most ships in history. For real space flight, it relied on 2 powerful IGP-440A ion turbine engines, mounted on its wings and powered by the rear generators. These engines had retro thrusters and a forward repulsor lift, making it incredibly maneuverable, and with a top speed of 1,050 km per hour or 652 miles per hour. And to boost acceleration in atmospheric flight, its deflector shields can disperse the heat from air resistance, letting this ship hit hypersonic speeds. And some at Incom might have been hitting the Jawa juice when they claimed that it could hit speeds of 44,000 kilometers per hour, which is 27,340 miles per hour. But ignoring that and just focusing on that it claims to be able to hit hypersonic speeds, that would mean at least 1,235 kilometers per hour, or 767 miles per hour, which is around a TIE fighter. In space, its 100 megalight speed puts it on par with the X-Wings and TIE fighters, while its acceleration hits a massive 2,600 G. Obviously, one of the main shows here is the weapons. It packed 2 massive, forward-facing medium laser cannons, positioned on its outer wings. These were strong enough to punch through the armor of capital ships, and I'm pretty sure this is the only ship that can say that. Each cannon had a built-in targeting rangefinder and could slightly adjust its aim internally, allowing for pinpoint accuracy. And the detail we get here is some of the best that we ever see, so I just want to quote some things here. It says that to make sure it can cool down efficiently, there are layers of superconductor and nanoducts for Tabana. That's the gas that powers everything from blasters to starfighters and their weapons. And we're told that the torque field currents spin a line and concentrate the blaster beam's energy. To me, that sounds like a combination of the idea of rifling down a barrel, mixed with the concept of composite beams like we see with the Death Star and LAATs and their bubble beam gun. The idea that as these many beams converge, you get something that is more powerful than the sum of its parts. And so that's happening on a tiny scale within the barrel here. And to further stress that, we get that powerful oscillations of unified energy fields build beam intensity inside the resonance chamber. All that tech is why these cannons are so uniquely large and powerful. And though we never get explicit details on why this was abandoned, I would say it's our old friend cost and maintenance. The more complex it is, the more it will cost to build and maintain. So when the pressure of a full-out galactic war against equal or a more powerful foe in the CIS was finally gone, the Empire was chasing around rebel forces, and there was no need to continue with something like the ARC-170 in general, especially not these powerful cannons. But if that wasn't enough, for extra firepower it had the twin rear-mounted blaster cannons for defense and a proton torpedo launcher with a payload of 6 torpedoes on board, but also several concussion missile hardpoints, making it effective in ship-to-ship combat and extremely capable as a bomber. I think many people overlook the ARC-170 in this aspect simply because of those massive cannons on the wings, and it's not called a bomber. The reconnaissance in its name make it sound more like a scout ship or something. But when you consider its ability to protect itself via its powerful shields, the rear gunner, and that speed boost ability, I think it's way better than the TIE bomber, and maybe even the Y-wing. And I haven't even mentioned the tech that it has to scramble its presence to get behind enemy lines. Its heavily armored nose housed an advanced sensor suite with active and passive scanners, a gamma-ray spectrophotometer, and a dedicated energy receptor that could pick up everything from comlink signals to laser emissions. It was also equipped with long-wave communication and jamming systems, making it an excellent long-range reconnaissance ship. While in battle, its twin S-foils extended to expose heat sinks and cooling panels, helping to regulate temperature and improve the shield efficiency.
Set S-foils in attack position.
The three-person crew worked together to handle the ship's various systems, with the pilot focusing on flight and dogfighting, the co-pilot managing weapons and shields, and the tail gunner covering the rear with the twin blaster cannons. The astromech droid assisted with navigation, systems diagnostics, and minor in-flight repairs, ensuring the ship could keep running even in rough conditions. And these were usually R2 or R4 series astromechs. While it had enough supplies to last 5 days, and it was built for long-haul missions far from friendly territory. It could operate without the support of a capital ship, survive for a while on its own, and then conduct hit-and-run attacks with that incredible arsenal including proton torpedoes and concussion missiles. Remember, it's giving up nothing in terms of speed, being able to boost to be equal to a TIE fighter, and it had that extra tech for maneuverability, all coming together perfectly to make it one of the most versatile tools in the Republic's arsenal. As for its history, it was introduced just before the Clone Wars and saw heavy use in the later years of the conflict. One of the first test pilots was the skilled clone Jai Galar, chosen by Jedi General Plo Koon, as a shot at redemption for his mistakes at Catrasi. During the Battle of Malastare, ARC-170s escorted Y-wings carrying the electro-proton bomb and provided air support against enemy AATs. They also play key roles in defending Kamino and later in the rescue mission on Lola Seiyu. Right before the Battle of Coruscant, a squadron of them covered Obi and Annie on Tythe, though most were wiped out. In the Battle of Coruscant itself, Clone Flight Squad 7 flew them to provide cover for Kenobi and Skywalker as they approached General Grievous's flagship, the Invisible Hand. Many pilots were lost, but their efforts allowed the Jedi to board the ship and rescue Chancellor Palpatine, with most of the ARC-170s being destroyed by droid tri-fighters. After Order 66, they immediately switched to their role to hunt down Jedi. On Cato Neimoidia, Clone Captain Jag led a squadron that turned on Jedi Master Plo Koon. They fired on his Delta 7 starfighter, blowing out his engines and sending him crashing into one of the bridge cities below. A dark and poetic end for Plo Koon, who was himself an ace pilot and who personally developed the ARC-170 program. Even after the Republic became the Empire, they did continue to see action. A few months after the Empire's rise, Green Squadron deployed from a Star Destroyer in the Shrouded Offensive at Ostor, and they strafed the city's shields before getting ambushed by rogue clone troopers and V-19s. The attackers quickly retreated, and Darth Vader led the ARC-170s back to cover the Star Destroyer. Once Commander Hawk Malsum disabled the shield, these ships then used its bomber role to turn the city into ruins. Though during the Galactic Civil War, some would also be seen used by the Rebel forces, considered elite starfighters above the X-Wings, while the Empire repainted theirs in the standard gray, removing those beautiful Republic colors. Many of the Rebels would have their own design, and would fight alongside Incom's later creation, the T-65 X-Wing. Some ended up in unexpected places. One was found in the old Rebel Alliance hangar on Dathomir, where 2 Wookiees, Amara, and Orekas appear, used it to break through an Imperial blockade after escaping from a prison facility, while Queen Kylantha of Naboo had a few of hers restored by her personal technicians. She even gifted one to an adventurer who helped the Wookiees escape, proving that even in the age of the rebellion, these old Clone Wars era fighters still had some fight left in them. That's it for the breakdown, and as for behind the scenes facts, it was nostalgic for me to see that canon has retained the nonsensical detail of the shields allowing it to go faster in atmosphere. I love this idea. It might even make sense from a physics point, but it would also be true for many other ships, any ship with shields. And the 44,000 km/h speed is unlike anything else we see anywhere in Star Wars. So it's just one of those quirks I was happy to see again. It was named after the ARC-170, the title of the artwork from the concept artist Ryan Church, and throughout the script for Revenge of the Sith, it was just called the Clone Fighter. The HUD display seen on Oddball's cockpit has the same targeting display as Luke Skywalker's X-Wing in A New Hope. It was a funny lore break that people caught in the HoloNet news report, saying that Incom and Subpro corporations parted ways, and yet the ARC-170 was built by both of them. And many video games like Battlefront 2 struggle to find a place for this thing, usually just making it a sort of medium fighter equivalent to the T-65 X-Wing, even though it has such a more specialized role. And the first time an Imperial variant was ever seen was in 2009 with the Hasbro Clone Wars toy range. If you made it this far, please hit that like button, subscribe so you don't miss anything, and check out these other videos, I'm sure you'll like them. But most important of all, remember, no matter how great the ship design, the most important stat is if Sidious decided you were going to win or lose this battle, and the Force will be with you, always.